influencer marketing is very powerful for your business, because if I don't know you, then I can't like you, and I certainly can't trust you. But if I know, like, and trust, Rob Gronkowski, and he's saying, give this thing a shot, I might say, you know what, I'm gonna give that a shot.
So this week we are talking to Josh Snow. He's a several-time founder of e-commerce brands, most notably Snow Teeth Whitening, which he's grown to $100 million in sales, completely bootstrapped. So that's all his money, no venture money, no investor money, anything like that. And they're still growing like crazy. So even at that high growth rate, doubled last year, they're on track to more than double again this year. And then Josh is also the founder of Powerhouse, which is a community for direct-to-consumer e-commerce brands. So within that community, he also has a lot of insight into different brands and different growth stages. Josh, welcome.
Hey, John, how's it going? It's a pleasure. This is felt like a long time in the coming, so I'm finally happy to be here and chat with you. And it's at the end of my workday too, so I don't feel like I've got the next meeting coming. I've got dinner reservations, but other than that, so pretty cool to hang out with you here.
Yeah, of course. We'll get you to dinner on time, Casey. You'll keep us on track. Yeah, you start out, for people who don't know you or are watching our channel. Give me your background. It's a super interesting kind of background story, and how your journey to like launching Snow, which was your first like real major DTC play, right?
Yeah, I mean Snow is consumed. I'm the co-founder of several businesses, and obviously Snow is the most well known, and Snow has been such an amazing journey so far. Really humbling for sure. Super exciting. Adventurous. But before that, I was building, scaling, and sometimes selling brands and businesses since I was 13 years old. I mean, back then I didn't know what I was doing, but 13 years old, I started making, decent money doing what I was doing. At 14, building websites for other people. So I learned how to design websites, program websites at the Phoenix Public Library. We didn't have a computer at home, so I used the library at the school. And so I was always fascinated with computers, but I didn't know. I mean, I was playing sports. I was trying everything. I was in student government, and I was playing football. And but I realized that this is kind of cool, like building these websites. I didn't know that was. I figured it was like a career, or it was like a job I could do one day, but I didn't know that was a skill set that would put me, in a position to really kind of create my own world and my own opportunities, most importantly. So for me, starting out, I want to help my family out. I wanted to help myself out, to help my family out. So like for me, I wanted to buy my own, boxers. I wanted to buy my own pens. I wanted to buy my own backpack. And I think a lot of that, I've always been kind of an older soul growing up as a kid. I'm the youngest sibling. And so I always wanted to be 10, 15 years older growing up as a kid. But I wanted to figure something out that would be an opportunity for, a kid like me or a teenager like me. I grew up in West Phoenix. I love where I grew up, but it's certainly a tough, area, inner city high school and all of that. And everybody's got a story, but my story for me really showed me that as long as I didn't give up, and that I could, work harder and eventually work smarter, and that if I stayed true to myself as much as I could. I didn't know this back then. I knew inklings of it, but it was really, I wanted to be a community leader. I wanted for my family to be proud of me. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. And at the time I thought that, if I could keep my grades right and, get a scholarship to, go to college, I could maybe get to medical school. And I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor of some sort. And that was important to me because I was like, I could make enough money that I could, support myself, support my family, and that I could be a community leader because I could help people in the community. I could volunteer. And so I never thought that building a website when I was 13 years old would result in what is today here at 28 years old, 15 years later. But what led up to Snow specifically was I went from building websites for myself to building websites for other people to learning searches and optimization and marketing, driving sales through websites for other people and other businesses, charging for that. And then from there, diving deeper into building my own projects that then my team could work on as I built my team out. And we built, we were huge in affiliate marketing. And then it was like, okay, we're really strong affiliates. I want to take it up a notch and actually create our own products, create our own brand. And so that was kind of it was a long time in the coming. And so when I was 21 years old, I started focusing a little bit more on our internal projects. So I sold my percentages and my shares and as much as I could that wasn't focused on scalable businesses that needed long-term kind of strategies. And still, I didn't know at 21 exactly what I was doing, but I'm like kind of stumbling into it. And I think when the opportunity for Snow came along, I was, getting jaw surgery, spending a lot of time in that environment. And I had built and sold several companies by this point. It's trying to figure out what was I going to do? And at the time I was kind of dabbling in a lot of things. I still had my existing businesses, but I wanted something that was going to really be challenging, really take everything that I've learned and throw it into one battlefield and then some, and then have an opportunity and a mission big enough that one, it'd keep me interested and kind of challenged. And then two, would attract other extraordinary people to join the mission and join what we're doing. So that's where I was like, okay, a lot of people have teeth. Looking at even just the beginning of research through Google, I was like, well, there's no chance we're going to build market share here ever. Nobody has done it. And I go, that's kind of the challenge I'm looking for. I'm looking to pretty much go all in on a certain project that I could spend up to 50 years working on. And that maybe I'd still be painting other, canvases, but that Mona Lisa would be, designed together, and it wouldn't be done just by me. It'd be done with a team of extraordinary people over, a certain amount of time. So that was like the philosophical reasoning. I wanted more, not more money. I wanted more purpose. I think I wanted more growth for sure. I wanted more achievement. I'm addicted to the joy of achievement. And sometimes that's toxic because you hit the big day and you're like, well, we could have hit this much, or we could have done this. And then when things are bad, you take it really bad. When things are good, you take them too good. So you figure that out as an entrepreneur and as a leader. But I think Snow came about as my desire for expression. And I didn't want to do it alone. I wanted a canvas big enough that the painting we create together would be respected and seen from all over the world. And that had to be through branding and what brand would we create and what space could we create it. And I also wanted the 20-year from now Josh to be proud of the current Josh. And so if I took the easy way out and went to a different category that maybe had higher odds or that I had more experience in, I knew that conversation in my mind was going to be just a money conversation. And I had done that a couple of times and without even knowing it, had done things either through necessity or because I just couldn't help but have FOMO and shiny object syndrome. I did a lot of stuff, and the conversation would at first be like, well, it's because it's doing this and this. And then the real conversation is like, well, this was a money grab. And that's okay. Sometimes you got to survive. You got to do what you got to do. You got to create great work and get paid for it, all of that. But I wanted to have a real conversation myself where I'm like, this is the hardest thing I could have picked. And like, this is very difficult, but look how powerful it's become. And look at, it's not me, it's a team, it's the customers, over 1 million fans. And like, that's what I wanted. And I needed a vehicle to do that. And it happened to be oral care. It happened to be teeth whitening. It happened to line up with my skill set, what I was going on with in the time. I talked to my dentist, my orthodontist, helped me out. And I said, let's just see what happens. And I built the first version of the website. Built the first version of all the Facebook ads, found the label printer, did all of this. Mind you, I could have, right? Because people say, well, how do you build companies today? I had millions of dollars at the time. I could have went about creating it that certain way. I just know a certain way of building a business like that. And it's with almost zero funds. And it's because you either have resources or you're resourceful. If you're really good, you're resourceful and with resources.
Right.
And so that kind of teeter-totter, I felt like what I was used to doing was taking $100, turning to 200, turning to 400. That's just what I was used to. And, you know, Snow now has been bootstrapped to $100 million plus. And it continues to grow and grow and grow. But I think that that discipline has made us extremely unique in our field, because we are, you know, and we'll talk about it, but omni-channel and all these things that allow us to do. But it's because I started the business with very little capital on purpose, so that I was involved with those pieces early on, not to micromanage them, but to have the understanding, because my opinion is the best entrepreneurs in the world are expert generalists. An expert generalist will focus in an area, but they're expert generalists. How does Elon run a car company, battery company, a solar company? You know, how does Jack Dorsey run Twitter, but also Square? And like that kind of diversity is needed. But Snow came about as my need initially to create an opportunity, create a challenge, find a challenge to create an opportunity that was big enough to attract incredible people that I could learn from, that could learn from me, that we could learn together, and really take on a really big challenge. And that I could go to bed at night and have the conversation in my mind. Is your heart in the right place? Are you really trying to make impact here? And now we have millions of fans, and now we're at this position. And, you know, for the first few years, I tried to pay myself nothing, and I was in a position, I get it, in a different position at that time to do that. But again, that discipline of, this is a brand I'm building that is going to mean something. And then I opened that up to the world. And now hundreds of thousands of people get to see the other entrepreneurs all around the world. I get messages all day long from all over the world that are listening to podcasts like this, that are seeing that gameplay. And so I try to open up the way I think. How does Josh think? So that you can, instead of giving you a fish, I'll give you some fish, but I'd rather teach you how to fish.
Right.
Because it may not be the business you're working on today that's the big one, and you're going to need to take that skill set along. So my job as someone who's trying to give back, or whatever you want to call this, I enjoy doing this, but it's important for me to share what I think will collapse your time to whatever goal it is that you want to achieve. If that's money, fine. If that's whatever, global dominance, that's fine. But, you know, that's my thing, is I've learned a lot from the internet. I wasn't born with all of this, you know, technical knowledge. I had access to it through YouTube, through Google. And so I feel like the best way to give back is to pass down that distillation in your specific area, e-commerce, brand building, particularly for me in this stage of my life, to share exactly that. And, you know, no two podcasts are exactly alike that I do. And I try to make sure of that, because I want people to follow that journey, and I want it to be an authentic journey.
Yeah, yeah. It's so like, so, because we're going to get into some more, like, you might say, tactical aspects of like how you build Snow at different stages and stuff like that. So I'm super glad that you opened with that, because I think the thing that gets overlooked a ton for founders, for DTC brands, is like, a lot of times a DTC brand's success has a lot more to do with the founder or founding team's why than almost anything else, right? Like when you really crack it down to it, like if they're just in it to make a quick buck, that's going to be a very different kind of brand than what Snow is, right?
Here's the problem, because this is a good one. I don't think I've addressed before. I've touched on it before. But the problem is you don't get people's real story. You don't get. That's why for years I couldn't watch anybody online, because I was either being sold something, sold a lifestyle, or it was virtue signaling, where it's like, I'm not doing this for money. Don't get me wrong. Business is a sport, I believe. And, you know, me and my team, in order for us to win, we've got to put numbers on the board, and it's got to be there. And the way we look at capital and organization is it's freedom. It's freedom for us to do what we want to create, the products we want to create. Let's try TikTok ads. Let's work with the Kardashians. Let's try a Super Bowl ad. As marketers, this is our toolbox. We need the sand in order to build the sandcastles and play around with that. So don't get me wrong, but the problem with that is that you don't get someone's full story usually until they're dead. So like you don't get the full story until they're dead, and then and maybe that's still not the full story, but you get at least some of those areas. Like I dug up, Warren Buffett said at 18 years old, his wife said it, that I think her name's Susan. She said he told her straight to the face 70 years ago, I want to be a billionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. So what we see today is we see Warren Buffett going to McDonald's, who owns a bunch of stock in, but goes there, oh, wow, he only spends $2 on breakfast. Oh, he has the same Cadillac. He lives in the same old house. And and I don't know Warren Buffett, right? So who am I to talk about it? But
these are the online memes, right?
Yeah, but like it's to the point of, think about Louis the 13th, Louis 16th. It's been a long day. But French king was guillotined. Marie Antoinette was guillotined. Why? Because of excessive wealth, when it's rubbed in people's face. It's like when you don't have money, you want people to think you have money. When you have that much money, you want no one to think you have money.
Right.
So they're like, hey, if I'm going around high rolling as a billionaire, it's not cool to do that. And that if something happens, I'm going to become a target. So what do? Let's produce documentaries showing how sweet I am, so that nobody attacks me, so that I'm on nobody's target. It's one of the smartest chess moves, in my opinion, is to do your own legacy work with your own documentaries to keep people away from touching your money. And I think that if you asked 100 people who are familiar with Warren Buffett, they would be like, oh, sweet grandpa, like, oh, sweet, and I bet he is. Like, I don't know him. I bet he's great. There's nothing about him. I just think that if I was to throw a dart in the dark, I would say that there's some strategy behind how that documentary was positioned, where it had so much emphasis on his simple life. If he's really smart, he actually lives that life, which I think he does. So that way it's truly authentic. But don't get it confused from the viewer side, is that when I was 15, 16 years old, I wanted a Lamborghini.
Right.
And I wanted to pull up in a Lamborghini. I wanted all the girls to gush over me, and I wanted to be the coolest person. I wanted the biggest watch with as many diamonds on it. I wanted a big diamond chain. I wanted diamond teeth at one point.
This is what all 90s kids wanted growing up.
That's it. Yeah, I wanted a diamond grill. I wanted a big gold with diamonds chain. I wanted all the best shoes. Don't get me wrong, materialism for me at that time was a big driving factor. But really what I was seeking were options. In life, you want to seek options, because when you get the money to buy the Bugatti, you realize I'd rather buy 4 duplexes and invest in an opportunity zone instead. Or like, when you get there, you'll get there. But I don't know if I would be as financially successful as I am today if I didn't think about money every minute of my life, from 13 years old to 25 years old, probably. And I still think about it all day in a different lens.
Right.
But if I didn't spend 12 years talking about money, obsessing on money, reading about money, reading every book about money, listening to every podcast, book, like everything about money, if I didn't do that, I don't know if I would have the leisure and opportunity now to not be concerned about my quality of life. Right. And it allows me to take bigger bets and things like that. So I don't want to be what I kind of talk about, which is like virtue signaling. I do a lot for the community. I don't need to talk about it because I do it. Our foundation work, we just do it. That's fine. And it's big. It's a big part of our life. What we do on the Powerhouse side is helping other entrepreneurs become multipliers. And that's what I figured out was we've got our foundation, 400 students this summer, underserved 16-year-old students, juniors in high school. We bring them on campus. They stay on for 5 days. This is our first time for most of them, the first generation. So I do that during the summer, but the Powerhouse side of it is these are multiplier effects, because if I can share what's working for Snow right now to someone who's selling socks, and it results in them going from 10 million this year to $50 million, they now created 100 new jobs. They created more opportunity. And now that entrepreneur can sell that business for $100 million and become an investor and advisor in his town and reinvest that money into other entrepreneurs to pass the baton. So I'm like, okay, I got to do it on the ground floor with the students and with the kids. I can only talk to so many at one time. How do I talk to people that may one day be in charge of 10,000 people, so that maybe I could be a beacon, at least of advice, or at least of sounding board. I don't know all the answers, but I wanted to hit that point. I'm sorry I got on a high horse about it, but I think it's important because you don't know what is real on social media anymore, and it's so difficult to cut through the noise. And I'm guilty of it too. I love cars, so I post my cars up. And I ran into someone the other day, and they're like, I really thought you were going to be a douchebag. And you know, that was their response. Like, and I was like, really? I was like, how? Like, talk to me. Like, I got to figure this out. Like, well, I just saw, you know, the cars, and I saw, you know, the travel, and I follow you on Instagram. And I go, totally get that. Totally get how that could look that way. But I was like, I promise you, I do things because I want to do them. And I do like nice things, but I don't want to shield the fact that for 12 years of my life, probably, or at least 10 years of my life, I was wholly obsessed with money. So that piece doesn't mean I'm bad. Doesn't mean anyone's bad about that. But if you want to be the best football player, what do you talk, eat, sleep, drink, and do and practice all day? Football. If you want to be a successful, financially successful entrepreneur so that you can help others, create jobs, you have to obsess about the gas that feeds that tank, which is money. And if you don't, you can't ever build a Ferrari and drive it from your garage, because you need enough fuel to do that. You know, so you need that fuel. So I wanted to touch on that because I feel like there's a lot of, it's too easy even for me to virtue signal and be like, I walk on water. The truth is, like, I want money. I want to make money. Once I made enough of it, I go, what's next? And for me, what's next was a bigger challenge. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's a good point, right? Like, and it kind of moves me into our first point, right? So let's get maybe more zoomed in, because the same concept applies here. More zoomed in to getting a brand off the ground, right? Especially a new brand, especially one in a very competitive space. So, you know, I think a lot of direct-to-consumer brands right now, getting off the ground equals getting some traction on Facebook ads. The way I tell it to people is, I'm like, you really got a few 800-pounder gorillas of direct-to-consumer traffic, which are the places to get started. And that's going to be Facebook, Google, maybe influencers. That, you know, maybe that's a little bit less now. Sorry, I got kids screaming over here.
Don't worry about
it. Maybe influencers or Amazon, right? Like, those are kind of the 800-pound gorillas. I put a little asterisk next to natives, because maybe natives too. But you know, nobody's building their first, you know, $0 to $100,000 in e-commerce on TikTok ads, probably, or Snapchat ads. So tell me, what was it for Snow? Like, where was that start point? Maybe I didn't say it. Maybe it was SEO. But yeah, like, where was that kind of start point?
Yeah, I mean, you are right. So like we're on 20 channels, digital channels today. Yeah. So we built out our omni-channel strategy online first, because 2 years ago, two and a half years ago, and we did this across all of my businesses, because I was terrified. I started doing research, and it's like 2/3 of venture capital money go to Facebook and Google. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, wait, direct to consumer, you know, 6 years ago when I was talking direct to consumer to people, it was like, yeah, you know, instead of paying, you know, Walmart, you know, your margin, you keep that margin and you get to own all the customer data. And it is great, right? Like, ultimately it is. But you don't realize, I didn't realize, nobody realized at the time, that Facebook and Google were going to become the new rent. And so now what I found out is, wherever there's margin in a business, it doesn't take very long for the sharks to show up and swallow it all up. It's happening right now with all the crypto coins. You know, as soon as you buy it, it crashes. It's a mess. So I've seen that direct to consumer, and I said, wait, direct to consumer is not necessarily a business model. It's a phenomenal launch model. And so being an e-commerce business is a phenomenal launch model. That doesn't mean that you have to be at Walmart and all these places. It may not make sense for your brand. But Amazon, over 50% of e-commerce searches start and end on Amazon now. So you're not on Amazon, you never have a choice. This is coming from someone who used to laugh at Amazon dominant businesses 5 years ago, because I was sitting there with millions of records of customer data from Shopify, and they had nothing. And I was like, and then all of a sudden you see Amazon just continue.
And Amazon starts bidding on your brand.
Amazon starts bidding on your brand, and then all of a sudden that starts to grow. And we weren't on Amazon for the first like 2.5 years of our business. And we got a call, and they were like, we've never had a brand in your category get so many brand searches, you know, 214,000 brand searches a month for this specific brand that's not on Amazon. They're like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, well, it's not part of our strategy right now. Today, Amazon is, by the end of this year, will be a multi-million per month channel for us. And it used to just be a spillover, kind of whatever was there, we'd account for it in Facebook ads. Oh, that's 10% of sales or 15%. You add that in, so that's what it used to be. Now you have to be, if you're launching a brand, the first thing is differentiation. Differentiation. That doesn't mean let me wait for the perfect idea to come to me. And when people tell me this has never been done before, I get nervous. As an investor, I get nervous because I'm like, you've never been done before. Whoa, like it better be really simple and such an aha thing, or you've got to be the Elon Musk of programming and can do it. So it's like, what I think about is differentiation is so important. And I think Facebook ads still Facebook and Instagram still the easiest to get a brand off the ground. But I'm really bullish. We're investing heavily into TikTok, heavily into Snapchat. We're going as hard as we can in Amazon ads platform, their native ads platform. I do think that Apple's going to come out with an ads platform by the end of the year. It might be next year, and they're going to open that up. But I think Facebook and Instagram are great. They have all the traffic. They still have targeting. You can get something there. But if you don't have something that's differentiated, it's going to be extremely difficult to stand out. It was like when we launched the plug into your phone thing, that feature was really attractive. It was like, whoa, you plug it into your phone. Like, it's like an app for your phone or something. Like, whoa. So that kind of aha doesn't mean that you have to have the world's most patented formula when you start, or the world's most unique design. What you need something. No one in the space uses yellow and red. Start there. Yellow and red, the entire website, right? It's like, this is crazy. If you look at the brand Nugs, which is the like plant-based nugget brand, they're just crazy, right? It's like a millennial style kind of food brand, but like that stands out, right? It's like, it's crazy. And it's not that crazy though, because Chick-fil-A had cows on there and they had things that caught your attention. But I think that the product itself, the packaging itself, the website itself, even if it's color, even if it's the way you name things, even if it's the way you combine things, it has to be different than just another. If I see another CBD brand, I'm going to jump off this building because they all look exactly the same. And I'm like, guys, go into a makeup store. Okay. I know you're all men, making this brand. I literally told them this. So I know you guys are all guys. Go to a makeup store, go to a spa for a day. Okay. And go do research. Okay. Go do your own research and just become a woman for a day. And you're selling these products to both men and women, but they're so not attractive to even some men, right? It's like, so that piece right there is that in that space, particularly, people are thinking about potency, concentration. This is the purest. No, we're the purest. No, I'm the purest. Yeah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No one cares what's the purest. What does that even mean?
So,
yeah. No, I love that. And it's like, right, early on, it's like you're just looking for that differentiator. So tell me a little, like, let's talk about product for a second, because I'm a believer that, like, ultimately, and we're going to talk about this in a second, turning the corner from that Facebook or Instagram ad reliance or whatever that first channel is that you gain traction on, kind of turning that corner, and you can kind of parlay this first question into that if you want. But how you turn that corner from being subject to the Facebook, Instagram roller coaster, what role does product play? Because I see it playing an important role. To me, it's like when a brand can acquire customers at a profit on Facebook and Instagram, like there are brands that can do that, and they can actually start to scale to a pretty high run rate pretty quickly. And then they just start to die when Facebook and Instagram dies, because nobody will buy anything from them again after buying that first thing. And to me, that comes down to maybe product or maybe other customer experience elements. So yes, you do have to differentiate, but maybe, I mean, Snow, that didn't happen with Snow, right? So you spent some time on product here, but at the same time, you don't want to delay, right? You don't want to like spend forever developing the perfect product that if I can get it in people's hands, they'll love it, and then realize you can't even get it in people's hands. So maybe talk to me about the role product plays in that stage, and then maybe we can just jump right from there into like, how did you turn that corner from that initial, I'm guessing, kind of Facebook, Instagram launch, TTC launch model into now if you had rough days on Facebook for 3-4 months, you'd be okay. Where a lot of brands can't say that.
Yeah, and it wasn't always like that. I mean, product's a big part of it, but one thing that people don't spend enough time on is the offer itself. So like the offer for each product, like we were talking today about our toothpaste. And so we've got a phenomenal formula in there. It's a whitening toothpaste. Customers love it. And we were thinking about it. It comes out to about $15 every 90 days is what they're paying. So I go, well, wait a second. That's $5 a month billed every 90 days. That's the same thing that software companies do in terms of positioning the offer. So if your product is $80, it's not $80, it's $20 today. Sign up for one of the buy now, pay later apps on Shopify and show the price. So on our website for our products, because we are the premium provider in the space, that utilizing those buy now, pay later programs have been very powerful for us. And what I find is that most entrepreneurs, most leaders, and most marketers want to turn on the faucet, like let's blast it. But there are all these holes in the bucket. And these holes take sometimes 5 to 10 years to fill. You'll never fill all of them because a new ones sprout. But it's like
you're talking about from a product perspective, there's holes.
From product perspective, but everybody wants to focus on turning on, let's get Facebook ads. We need it more profitable. We need more ads. In order for us to, because Facebook ads are like crack, right? They're like heroin. They're some of the strongest drugs, and they're extremely addictive. And the more you do of it, the more you have to do of it. It's like anything, right? Like caffeine or anything addictive. So the more you do of it, you have to keep doing it. And all of a sudden you're at a point where Facebook is 80 to 90% of your traffic source, sometimes 100. And I'm talking about 10, 15, $20 million businesses that I see every day that are 100% reliant on Facebook. And they're coming to their media buyer's desk. And one of the toughest jobs right now is being a media buyer in e-commerce. I mean, that's like nuts. And because everything's tracked by the minute, by the second. And like it's 90% of, and it's not a business, right? It's an offer. And the person running the offer is in charge of 100% of the business because all of the sales are coming from there. And so I realized that 2.5 years ago in a big way because we were scaling, and there's a lot of variability there. And we're like, okay, we scale, but we have to sacrifice ROAS. And then where's that point of which you get squeezed in the middle, but you hit a certain point where if you're spending, $100,000 a day and your ROAS drops, instead of spending $20,000 a day, it'll more than make up for it. And then we looked at the net of our, the actual, net integrity of our marketing flows, so that are we doing abandoned cart SMS? Are we doing abandoned cart email? How good are those emails? Are we calling our customers? Are we doing abandoned cart callbacks to see if we can help them out to complete their order? What are we doing to make our net stronger? Because it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And in terms of traffic, it's not what you send in, it's what converts. And so in order for us to turn up the faucet, we now have 2, 3, sometimes 4 million monthly visitors across our properties just for snow. So in order for us to do that, we have to be really strong in capturing conversion rate. We have to capture those customers, capturing SMS text phone numbers. SMS, we now have 250,000. We just started it recently. 250,000 people now on that SMS text list. We have over 1 million people on our email list. You got to have those areas where you're going to be able to drive retention, loyalty, people to come back. It's not just, I have, here's a product and it worked really well. What's wrong with you, media buying team? It was working well last month, and it's like you have one widget and you have a standard offer. But what you need to do is you need to look at, okay, the product. How can I make the product better? Let's look at all the negative reviews. Ooh, new and improved. Every 30 days, Snow is updating something. It's whether the packaging, or it's the mouthpiece, or it's the formula, or it's the taste, or it's the viscosity. All these things that I had to learn, I didn't know anything about. but that rapid split testing product almost. And you can do that no matter what you're selling. On the next batch, take some of that feedback, give it to your manufacturer, and double down on what's already working for you before you go and start 20 different products. Because you got to keep in mind, we sold 1 million units of one product that's over $100. 1 million, and we sold millions of dollars of products before we even introduced the second product. And the second product was a wireless kit for the wired kit. Like, so it's like, you don't have to necessarily, not every business needs to have 5,000 SKUs like fashion, which is fine. Fashion's great.
It's a consumable. It's a different market.
Different market. Everyone's different, but product is huge. The more product you have, the more they can buy. And the more you stay in stock and the faster you ship, the more they'll rebuy. The more that you can add to that offer, where it's, instead of our toothpaste being $15, it's $5 a month billed every 90 days. And instead of our teeth whitening system being $300, it's 4 easy payments of $49, or $49. So that's the offer. So the conversion rate goes up because it's more accessible. People can give it a shot, leaning into Amazon. But in terms of figuring out product, I think you've got to nail it down and have the discipline. And it's really hard if you're in a similar space like Snow, for example, personal care, consumables, whatever. If you're in supplements, it's a little bit easier to expand your product line and go out there. But I got to tell you, the consumer today is buying their shampoo from one brand, their conditioner from another brand, their makeup from another brand, and the different layers, that foundation from a different brand, toner from a different brand, moisturizer from a different brand. It's no longer, I'm going to buy Neutrogena, everything. I saw this on TikTok. I want to change out my moisturizer. I've been looking for a new moisturizer. That's how people shop. So if they don't shop by, like, I've been looking for a new brand to give my life to. Right. Oh, this one. I love Snow's ethos. I'm going to buy everything from them. That's tough. That's tough to build a lifestyle brand like that from the start. You got to have a hero product that works, that you sell as many times as you can, as profitably as you can, and then get permission to open the doors to the rest of that.
Yeah. The brands that do that. So that's such a good, so that's, you're a consumable, you're very mass market, right? The brands that do what, like, people who give that advice of like, just drop more product, it's a different thing, right? So I see that work really well in niche markets, right? Like, you have a baby clothing brand, drop more product, right? Because clearly you have a line on what those women want on their kids, right? So give them more of it, like, and that will increase your retention. Fashion, I mean, anything fashion, same thing, but yeah, like, if it's a consumable, then yeah, like, I mean, focusing on that product, new and upgraded versions, new flavors, things like that, you still give them reason to buy. And consumables, if they work, people come and rebuy anyway. So it's,
right.
Anyway, so I want to move on and talk to you about really what everyone always wants to talk to you about, the influencer deals you make, and the celebrity deals you make. So if somebody's watching this, they haven't Googled Snow Teeth Whitening by now, you've done deals with Floyd Mayweather. You've done deals with Rob Gronkowski. He's really involved with the brand. Rob Gronkowski is. You've got some Kardashians, other big ones as well. So talk about how you approach those deals. How did you start? How did you get into influencer space? Did you like, hey, we're going after a Kardashian first thing, or did you start smaller? How do you approach those deals? How impactful are they? And how impactful is influencer marketing in general today? A lot of people are like, well, it's dying. It doesn't work as well. So let's talk influencers a bit.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like there's a saying around, like, marketers ruin everything. I think that, influencer marketing, I will say though, recently with the iOS updates with Apple, Instagram and Facebook are leaning into on-site commerce. And so, they're locking down the browser. So when you're clicking links, it's staying inside of Facebook. They're essentially saying, since Apple's not playing nice with them, they're not going to play nice with anybody. And so, what I was thinking about from an influencer marketing standpoint, and I think it's going to continue to be on the rise, is my overall feeling, especially with Instagram leaning in to allow influencers to have their own shops, and you can pay right then and there on Instagram. And I think it's going to be great. So as a brand,
retailers kind of.
Right. Yeah. They're going to they're nudging a little bit at Amazon, right? And at Shopify. And so now that Apple hit Facebook, Facebook's going to hurt Shopify, I think, because they're going to hold a lot of that commerce on the platform. But from an influencer marketing standpoint, people buy from who they like or trust. And Word of mouth marketing, if you ask any business owner, you go, what's the best, marketing? Word of mouth. Yeah, that's great, but how do you scale that? Well, your word of mouth marketing is essentially influencer marketing. And so you can now control that, scale that, track it, scale it to the moon internationally. So I do think that that's huge. I think that it's changed over the years where a lot of my celebrity partners are looking to build their own brands nowadays, and not all of them, but some of them. And so, they've come to me, and I've seen over the last year, a lot of them come to me and talk about, strategize around those brands, what they might look like, or maybe not their own brand, but really partnering with a brand in a different way. And the thing is, Instagram feed has throttled the engagement so much that people are afraid to post an Instagram post. And so that kind of died. And then stories are hot now, but people know that if it's a product, that it might be sponsored. And so there's a lot going on there. But I will tell you this, the influencer marketing is very powerful for your business, because if I don't know you, then I can't like you, and I certainly can't trust you. But if I know, like, and trust, Rob Gronkowski, and he's saying, give this thing a shot, I might say, you know what, I'm gonna give that a shot. I'm gonna have some insurance because someone who I like and trust is recommending it. And that works at every level of influencer. And so at the macro level, which is people with over 50 million followers, over 20 million followers, those are the celebrity influencers, and those take time, right? Like, unless you know someone who knows someone, you're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to Google to find their email address, their agent. You're going to have to hit a few up. And those could cost a lot of money, right? Because you're paying for a huge amount of reach. What we've been doing with our larger celebrity partners is actually partnering with them and actually creating lines with them, creating variations of different brands that tackle different segments with them. And sometimes they own, depending on who it is, sometimes they own some equity. There's royalties. Those are complex deals now, and they take a long time. What works right now is that there are 900 million people who don't have millions of fans. That's the focus that we've kind of leaned into over the last year or two. Is we do have a big celebrity partnership announced every 3 or 4 months, but really what drives the needle are our own customers, people with 100 followers, 500 followers, 1,000 followers. And we see those people post. And if there's a lot of engagement on a certain post, or we feel like this post would work well, we'll reach out and say, hey, can we do a partnership where we run ads through your page from you with videos that you create? Like, yeah, I love this product. It's awesome. So we end up running ads with our pixel. And sometimes we'll run hundreds of thousands of dollars of ads against a random person that has 500 followers on Instagram, but for some reason she just really connected with her story.
And you make them an influencer.
What was that? Yeah, you make them. Yeah,
influencer. Yeah,
they love it, and then you're able to run ads from them. They're getting told all around town, I see you all over Instagram. Some of our videos have 10, 20 million views on them. Yeah. And it's like, especially when you're talking to someone who who's not an actor, who's not a celebrity. And it's really, really cool. And so what we've done is we try to empower the everyday customer to become an ambassador. Tag us and you'll get X amount off in your next order. Things like that. That grassroots, and then powering it by whitelisting and running ads to their account. We spend millions of dollars to that strategy. But it starts with our customers, and it starts with the smaller guys, actually, because you can get 100 of them a week for $100 each. Whichever one works, you lean into. If you work on one big deal, 9 months in, $1 million later or whatever, and then you realize it didn't work, then you're all over. And so there's a lot of glitz and glamour about the celebrity partnerships. And don't get me wrong, extremely powerful. I would not change anything in the world. Our celebrity partners are amazing, and we continue to do it. But it's because it does other things for the brand. It's a rising tide at this day and age. 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, you could spend $100,000 on a post and make $100,000 back. Sometimes you can make $300,000 back in the day. Today, the algorithm is going to throttle the reach. If you have a coupon code in there, people are going, oh, I know it's sponsored. There's no link in Instagram to directly go there. It's just not the business. What you want to do instead is utilize that for your retail potentially one day. Utilize that for other things beyond that. But don't get distracted by having your dream celebrity that you would love to work with. Work on it, keep it rolling, keep it going, keep it growing, and that deal might take 12 months to come to fruition. And once you get the first one, the next one's that much easier.
That's, and one of my favorite things I've ever heard you say, I don't remember, was maybe at an event that we spoke at, was like, you said something about when you landed, when you used a Kardashian, one of the Kardashians, you're like, I remember we invested XYZ dollars in her, and we didn't get even close to that back, from her post. But what we did get is like 500 to 600, 5,000 to 10,000 follower influencers reaching out to us, wanting to say, and just saying, will you send me some product? I'll promote it for free. Right. And like, so that's what, that's what the big deals do. But like you said, just keep building, and those big deals.
People get myopic on the 1 point of sales return. They get myopic about ROI. And that's why for like 2 years ago, I started talking about, what was I calling it? Something ROI, said return on loss or something like that. And I was trying to be extreme in trying to shake entrepreneurs from thinking solely from an ROI perspective when they're working with real celebrity partners, because influence is influence. So if they give you that power of influence, it's not just for the immediate sale. It's the halo effect that retailers will have, that other celebrities will have. Like, oh yeah, I saw Kim post it. That was you. Like, oh, okay. Now they want to work with you. They're not going to maybe charge you as much. They'd be willing to do other things with you. So like, I think that you have to be in a position in your business where $100,000, dropping that on a partnership and then some, is something that you realize is not about just the initial sales. It's like recruitment for your team. Who wants to work on the team that works with Kim Kardashian? Me, like which retailer wants to carry the products that, so-and-so, me. And so it's beyond that. Investors, who wants to invest in the brand that just partnered with Rob Gronkowski? Me. So it's beyond that. And you're going to make, if you spend 100,000, you should, if you get the right connection, you should make 3 to 5 million over the next 2 to 3 years on that partnership, and make $0. I don't care what you make. It's day zero. It does not matter.
Right. It's sort of the bridge between like traditional branding, billboards, TV, and which do drive results, just not very trackable ones. And like, direct response, like Facebook ads, I put $1 in, get $3 out. Like, you do that celebrity post, it's going to return something through the tracking links, right? But it's also going to just build the brand. So
yeah, the Facebook dashboard has made entrepreneur, and they made it too easy.
Gosh. Yeah.
They made it too easy, and everybody thinks, oh, what's wrong with the Facebook ads? And it's like, it's made it too easy that, I think you said it earlier, like people forget that you're building a business here, and hopefully you're building something for longevity, even if it's 2 years, like something with longevity. And unless you know with certainty you're going to die tomorrow, then you should look a little bit ahead of your business. And if you get the opportunity to work with a superstar like that, and you get a good deal on it, and you can afford it in your business, it's the best money that you can invest into your business, and you're not going to have to pay taxes on it. It's called a tax write-off. Look at how much tax you're going to owe for the year, and go and get 2 big celebrities, right? And that's planting a big seed that is going to create ripples across all your micro influencers, because they're all going to want to do it because she's doing it or he's doing it. And so it is beyond that, but I don't regret one single deal that we really done, because it has amplified. Still today, I speak all around the world about influencer marketing, which is what we're really good at and what we're extremely good at and what I want to share, but it's evolving, right? So every time I answer this question every 3 months, it does evolve and shift that much more.
Yeah, I've heard you give a lot of different answers to this that are evolved, right? So, okay, one last thing I want to go over. We're maybe a little bit over time, so we can kind of rapid fire this one a little bit. So this is kind of born of like just growth of brand, right? And like a lot of brands don't know how to contextualize where they are on a growth path for a brand like them, right? And so, for Snow, and I know you get visibility on a lot of different brands, but let's talk about for Snow, because it's furthest along on the growth path. You know, you see a lot of stuff that's like, hey, from 0 to 1 million, it's all about this, and then 1 million to 10 million, and then you'll see the same post or information from somebody else, and they'll say 0 to 10 million is the first stage. And I think it's just different strokes for different folks. So maybe tell me, where were those sort of like checkpoints from the marketing and sales lens? Where were those sort of checkpoints for Snow, like 0 to this, it was all about something, and then you realized at that point, like, oh, we actually need to shift our focus a little bit to these different KPIs or these different levers that we know we can pull. Kind of where were those checkpoints for Snow, and maybe a little bit on why you think they were at those levels, and then what were those KPIs and what were those shifts in focus, you know, from a marketing and sales perspective?
Yeah, 0 to 1. So 0 to 1 million was a lot of me doing the heavy lifting, programming, coding, writing the ads, doing customer support, and then building little by little from the spare bedroom in my house, building a team, having people drive over to my house to package stuff up and take it to the post office. And so 0 to 1 million is a lot of heavy lifting. It's a lot of doing things that you one day hopefully will not be in charge of, and it's doing things that you don't know how to do or don't want to do or can't afford to hire someone else to do, so you have to do them. So it's a lot of what you would expect, right? It's like cooking from scratch and you're figuring it out. And so 0 to 1 million is a lot of that. It's isolating, it's lonely for a lot of people, even for myself, because it's like first they ignore you. So like you're kind of nobody, and you have to kind of be somebody. You got to fake it till you make it, so to speak, right? You got to really, really be in that zone where you're the 2 years from now, John, living today. So what is that 2 years from now, John? Walk like that, walk like him, act like him. Does that guy work out or does he not? Does he? And kind of figure out, and you become that self-fulfilling prophecy. That belief becomes an action and a behavior and a habit. So I think that 0 to 1 million is a lot of, you, or your founding team or whoever's helping out. And then I think, 1 to 5 million is where you might start to be taking some of those things off your plate. You're getting, some marketing operations help, or you're hiring an agency, or, you're kind of maybe moving from the agency you were to a slightly bigger one that you think will get you a better return at the scale. And you're making those kind of fundamental moves. You're maybe looking at, what are my next products I'm launching. You should at this time go and meet your local banks, start figuring out what is your credit utilization, because you're going to need capital to scale. Maybe you're introducing angel investors, seed investors, family investors, whatever. And then really there's a big gap, I think, between, well, at least for Snow, $5 to $25 million, because you kind of move into the distribution business. You stop making new products, you're scaling, you're focused more on hiring for the, when someone's busting at the seams, like, okay, I guess I got to hire someone else. And so you're starting to figure out those processes. You're starting to move maybe from Facebook, you're adding Amazon, you're adding things, you're going 10, 15, 20 to 25. You're talking to retailers, maybe they're getting their first purchase orders in. You're building an affiliate program, an ambassador program, a Facebook group. You're doing these other things, your email list and SMS. You start to optimize your conversion rate, optimize your owned media so that you don't have to rely on paid media. So you start to move in that direction. 25 to, honestly, I'm going to say 25 to 50. I'll talk about 25 to 50. 25 to 50 is supply chain. It's funding. It's people are shifting, some are evolving, some are promoting. You're having to maybe start building out your middle management team, your executive team. You're adding advisors on. You're maybe raising money at this point or not. You may be getting offers from people who want to buy your business at this point or not. So 25 to 50 is a lot about the processes, the structure, capitalization. It's a lot about the money. Most people I meet in like our Powerhouse community, I go, what are you going to make this year? They go 12 million or 15 million or 20 million. And I go, why can't you make 50? It's a product that, like, you put in a box, like everyone could use it. They go, working capital. I need more working capital. I need more channels, or I need more products, or there's more of those kind of issues or whatever. I can tell you from 50 to 100 million and up so far, at least with Snow, it's been the people. A lot for me, it's been trusting the right people and getting out of their way and supporting them. I think that's been a big piece.
Yeah, at 50 to 100 million, you're at a point where you don't know everyone who works for you anymore, right? So you have to have your, I mean, maybe you do, I don't know.
I do. We have a small team, and we're direct to consumer. And I think in today's world, like, we're lucky where we don't have so many SKUs and all. I can still stay close with it. But to your point, yes, you are. I hope to always know as many names as I can, but it does move to, everyone should be moving to higher value work in the organization. And there'll be some stutters along that, but the CEO should be moving to higher value work as well, so that everyone else, he's got to get out of their way. She or she's got to get out. I got to get out of the way so that other people can keep growing.
I mean, we've worked with you, and we worked very little with you, right? Like that was the lieutenants that you trusted to manage that, right? Like to manage that work we were doing with you. And so that's where it is at that point. So yeah, I appreciate you, Josh, for being on. So how can people connect with you? How can, they check out the founder? Obviously, go buy Snow Teeth Whitening and get wetter teeth. Everybody could use that. But yeah, how can they check out? How can they check out House and stuff like that? Yeah.
Instagram is my main channel for me. I mean, it's our main channel right now across the board, but at Josh Snow on Instagram is probably the best place. I've got link in bio that has a mastermind and all I post the stories. We have an upcoming event June 10th in Miami, Powerhouse Miami. So you can see information on there. We got a few tickets left. So we're doing a lot more events now that the world's opening up a little bit. So we're doing a lot more there. So that's a great place to follow all the stuff that I'm doing. And then obviously at Snow on Instagram, trysnow.com. For all of our amazing products.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, Instagram, easiest place. Okay, so we do a little thing here at the end of each episode. Like, you never really know how the discussion's going to go, right? Kind of like you said, every podcast you do, they ask you a lot of the same questions and the discussion goes different ways. So we do a thing here where we kind of try and distill it and give a little bit of a parting shot, right? So I'll go first. I'll let you think about it. So if I were to kind of think through the parting shot from today, like my biggest one is something we talked about early on, and I purposely spent a lot of time there instead of moving on to the tactical stuff. And that is specifically like the mindset of the founder or founding team is important. And I think it's something we jump into, like creating a brand, and sometimes even creating a brand with other people without understanding that, like, hey, when this thing gets to 10 million, you don't want to be involved anymore. Right? Or without understanding like what the why is for each of those people. And as someone who runs an agency, we do that all the time. We never say to the founder, oh yeah, like what's your why? What's your ultimate vision here, right? Like this is just something that you don't talk about with your vendors. You don't talk about a lot of times with your team members, but it's like of paramount importance, because a lot of times when things start going poorly with our clients and we dig into like, okay, so why is this your goal? We start getting into their personal why, and it's like, we didn't talk about this, we didn't know this, and sometimes it makes or breaks the brand what their personal why is, right? Like if they want a Lambo, if they want a big house, a lot of times they're like, not really willing to weather those down periods, willing to weather those periods where they're gonna see their bank account get lower. Whereas, like you said, it's about money. We care about money, and we don't want to lose money for forever. But and I'm not saying one mindset is right or wrong. Like sometimes it is the right time to get out of the business, right? Maybe you were running an offer, we don't need to own that offer anymore, let's move on. And that's okay, but understanding your why is what really helps you understand that. So that's kind of my parting shot for the day. So yeah, I'll let you go.
That's great. Yeah, giving up good to go for great is important for sure. I would just say humanize your business. Put a phone number on there, see what happens. Worst that's going to happen is you're going to get great feedback from people who want to give you money.
Yeah.
And so that's been the thing, is you got to go a little old school with it. That's my approach. Trust people, trust yourself. Like, you think bigger, dream bigger, and put it to work. Stop following all the cryptos and, all these things that are distractions. Unless that's a hobby, you can have a hobby, fine. But become obsessed with your own personal development. Become obsessed with your knowledge development. Become obsessed with asking questions. Become obsessed with giving up authority. become obsessed with the irony of capitalism, where you give it all away to one day maybe have that and then some. And that bigger thinking, and bet on yourself. But before you do that, just like you said, John, be willing to give up something. Be willing to take this as your permission to give up on a business that just hasn't been working for so long, and go for great. That's okay. Give up, relationships with people that aren't positive or that aren't reinforcing you, that are just challenging you. Just set them put the alpha on a shelf and focus on what you need to focus on, because you need everything in your favor for you to become the success that you're supposed to become. But if you're distracted by cryptos and by this person doesn't like me and neutral energy, I made this whole campaign about neutral energy. I used to get rid of negative energy, because your inputs, very important. Who you listen to, which podcast you listen to, all that stuff is very important, because it does shape how you think. But I've gotten on this campaign of getting rid of neutral energy. If someone's neutral in the office, put them aside, give them a shot, see if you can figure out what's going on and help them out. But in terms of your life, friends, family, whoever it is, if they're not overwhelmingly positive, that's okay. Get rid of them. Doesn't mean you need to tell them anything. Just mute them on your phone or mute them on Instagram. Get rid of that thinking. Get rid of that toxicity that's around you. It's like, hey, I love you, but if you're not going to be positive, that's what I need more than anything right now. And if you can't give that to me, totally fine. Let me figure some stuff out here where I have a little bit more time to kind of sit here and deal with your crap, or vent with you, or be negative with you. Positive. Now, I'm not saying have a bunch of yes men and yes women around you. Yes. Challenge that. But I'm saying, I think that is something that, from a mental health perspective, is that the entrepreneur's journey is very lonely and it's very hard, but it doesn't have to be. Struggling with. And as someone who comes from, as a leader, you have to learn how to ask for help. You have to learn how to help others. And for me, I struggle with learning how to ask for help. That was a big problem for me. And my biggest growth came from, it's not that I figured out how to ask for help. I started sharing everything that I was doing on social media, on these platforms, on podcasts. And by sharing, you realize that there are a lot of people who actually want to help. They actually want to help you out. They want to give you a hand up, And by sharing that, I've, indirectly learned how to ask for help. And now I'm learning how to directly ask for help, because that's what happens is we have all this in our head. We're living in the future. We're never happy with the present. We're never truly present because we're on our phone and the next crypto and the next this. Just relax. Nothing's going to happen. I want you to instead, anyone listening right now, throw away any book or give away any book you're reading, throw your phone away for a week and read history, read economic history, read something that will appease you, because it helped me. It helped me by reading that, oh, these things are cycles. Oh, even pandemics are cycles. They're centennial cycles, but they're still cycles. And there are different implications and all that. I'm not an expert, but I know enough from like, nothing is as bad as I think it is. Nothing is as good as I think it is. Everything passes. I'm going to get everything I want in life. I just can't die. So as long as you don't die and you keep learning and you obsess on personal development, get rid of toxic energy, follow the right people who are in the position you want to be, like people who talk like you want to talk like. Because I don't listen to everybody, but I love listening to Richard Branson. I love listening to those people. I used to love listening to Steve Jobs when, he would do his presentations, because it was inspiring. It was optimistic. And I've listened to so much of it that I've become it. And like now I radiate some of those things, those qualities that I tried to emulate from those leaders and really build that in. So think about who you want to be 2 years from now. Get rid of toxic energy, believe in yourself, realize everything's going to happen the way it's going to happen and you're going to have it all, and focus, put some focus in, and ultimately humanize your business, because it'll hold you accountable as a leader when push comes to shove.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, thank you so much for taking this time. I know you're a busy man, and it's been a good time talking to you. For me, if no one else watches this all the way to the end, it's been super helpful for me. So I appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, talk soon. Thank you.